so I'm out here riding today with Salem CBR, and got Joe Ryder and Misfit Midget behind. Oh, gross! He just ran over roadkill. That was disgusting. Anyways, yeah, Salem CBR, Misfit Midget, Joe Ryder. We're gonna head up to Bald Peak again. I know it's kind of, probably you guys are sick of seeing Bald Peak, but Misfit Midget got some new tires on the FZ07, and he wants to go up and be overconfident in them. So we'll see how that goes. I'm on the Harley today because Salem CBR wants to trade up a little bit later and ride it around. So it's going to be a totally different experience on Bald Peak for me today, because I have never taken this bike anywhere fun. It's just been a commuter since I got it, or straight roads. So yeah, I guess I'll do my review on it today. I had a review video done, but it kind of fucking sucked. So I'm gonna try and be really unbiased. I'm coming from the perspective of owning a motorcycle that's refined to be fast. So my ZX6R is gonna be my control for this comparison, I guess. Aesthetically, this bike is, I think, the coolest Harley that's for sale on the market today. Right next to the Iron 883. I love the look of the Sportsters. They have that real classic kind of, you know, when Harley Davidson first started, that real basic motorcycle look. And they pulled it off with how this bike looks. It's gorgeous. So on looks, I give it a 10 out of 10. There is nothing you could change about this bike aesthetically to make it look better. So a 10 out of 10 on looks does not translate into a 10 out of 10 for riding. Where should I start? Let's start with the controls. Let's start with what you can see. So what we have here is we have an analog speedometer. That's cool. It kind of gives you that same classic kind of feel. They didn't do 2 gauges, so there's not an RPM gauge. The way you get to that is there's a selector button over here. On the horn button, it's the top selector. And you can, like right now I'm on the miles, so my odometer is up on the digital display there. So I have 609 miles on this bike now. It also has the trip, so I'm at 608.6 now. I have yet to reset that. B is also the same. It has a clock. I haven't set the clock yet. So if you really need a clock while you're out riding, then there is one. But if you're out riding just to ride, then you don't need a fucking clock. So the next screen is the gear indicator and the tachometer. So it's got a digital tach, which it works. I mean, audibly you'll know when to shift this. You don't have to look at your tachometer. I guess I hit the rev limiter a little bit ago when I was accelerating because it started bouncing. So it doesn't rev very high. I would say probably 6,000 is as high as it goes. But I could be totally wrong. I have yet to be on the screen when I hit the red line. So it's 5 gears. I'm in gear 4, going 60, and it's pretty happy at about 3,000. I would say it's happiest between 2,500 and 3,500. So I kind of went through all the digital tach stuff. It's got high beam, low beam. You can flash the low beam to the high with the lower button. It has a horn. I don't think I've ever used this horn, so yeah, it's not very loud. So that's about as good as this bike will do 0 to 60. Anyways, yeah, it's got a horn. It's got the hazards button, which is pretty awesome. My other bike doesn't have that. The only really different thing controls wise for this bike is gotta focus here. I don't want to scrape. want to slow them down from having the fun they want to have, which I will definitely do if I'm in front of any of them. I know our destination, so that's cool. The only thing really different is the two separate blinker buttons. And I don't know necessarily why they did that, or if that's kind of a standard Harley thing. I didn't sit on any other Harleys when I was at the dealership, so I don't know. Maybe you guys will know that. It's really intuitive. I mean, it's not hard to learn how to do it, but when you switch back from a bike that has the one toggle switch for both, I mean, it can get confusing. Every once in a while, I'll be like, why the fuck isn't my signal turning on? And it's because I have to press the button because there's one on each side. So that's my mistake. Control wise, everything it feels good. It has good response time. You saw the 0 to 60 earlier, so I mean that's about as much power as you're going to be able to pull out of this bike. It's not a fast bike. It's not the fastest bike. It is a nice cruiser for sure. I mean, I could keep up with these guys if I really need to, but I don't need to. I've scraped these one time that it scared the fucking shit out of me. It's a really loud, I mean, these pop up, so it doesn't like make you feel like you're gonna fall down or anything. It's just like, what the fuck is happening? And it's metal scraping on concrete, so it's a terrible sound. Brakes are awesome. I can bring this thing to a stop like nothing. Clutch engagement is awesome. This would honestly be a perfect starter bike control wise. The only thing that's a little bit different than what you might normally start out on is the seating position, which I'll get to here in a second. So controls and cluster, I would rate them 10 out of 10. Everything's functional, has everything you need. Another functionality thing, the mirrors. So they're mounted really low, and I wasn't sure if I was gonna like it, but honestly I like these better than any other mirrors I've ever had on anything. They're low. You don't have to worry about your shoulders being too wide to see around them or whatever. They're low. They're down by your belly area, your waistline. So right now I have 100% visibility behind me. The only way that I would be able to see someone is if they were like literally their front tire was touching my back tire. Functionality wise, these are awesome mirrors. So the seat is comfortable. I'm sure they sell better seats for it. They don't put the best one on from the factory so that they can sell you better parts. It's comfortable. I'm sure they sell better ones. I'm sure you could get some fucking gel memory foam, awesome fucking contours to your ass crack kind of thing. But this does for as far as it'll get you. The only thing I really could complain about is the airbox here. It gets in the way of your knees, and I'm sure it's kind of on my shin, so it's not even really my knee. But if you were taller, it would be smacking your knee a little bit. That's going to be my only complaint about seating position and comfort. So because of that, I'll give seating position and comfort about a 9. I mean, it's really comfortable. Just occasionally that gets in the way. It doesn't hinder the riding experience at all. Transmission, clunky, but when you're moving, it's good, but down at low speeds, man. The only thing that took a little bit of getting used to, I mean, I guess if you're like me and you're coming from a sport bike, is the forward controls. So it did take a little bit of getting used to, but it wasn't like super duper difficult. Just occasionally when I'm at a stoplight or something, I'll put my feet up like I'm trying to put them on my sport bike rear set, but it's not there. So you have to swing it forward. For seating position, it's comfortable. It feels better to be this way on this bike anyways. If the controls were below you, you'd be really squatted, especially if you were taller than I am. For me, it might be alright, but if you're over 6 foot, you'd be in shit squat positions. Power, I would give it probably a 7 out of 10. I mean, it has enough for you to get up and go, get up and pass. It can probably do 100. I don't know, I haven't had it that high. I mean, if you're going for that rumbly, unrefined Harley Davidson feeling, then get this bike. It's totally 100% for you. Take it for a test ride a couple different bikes, but I think this is a perfect place to start. It's got a really nice entry price point. I believe they're right around $12,000. So like I said earlier, aesthetically this bike is a 10, and that the 10 in aesthetics doesn't always translate into a 10 performance wise. And the reason I say that is because the number one thing the number one complaint about this bike on my part is this 2-gallon tank. Now, aesthetically, if they put a bigger tank on this bike, it might look a little bit dorky. Performance-wise, if they put a gas tank on this bike, they would sell probably a lot more of them. The 2.1 gallons that you get in this bike doesn't cut it. I'll be able to do this one ride that we're doing today. I'll get back to Kaiser and I'll have to fucking refill the gas tank. So it gets about 60 miles to the tank, which is, it's alright. If you're going to use it around town, if you're going to go bar hopping, then this bike is for you. If you're going to use it for grocery getting, if you're going to use it for your one ride per week that you go hang out with your buds and you guys go do your regular loop that you've always done, then like this is perfect. This is what this bike is for, I guess. Just going and hitting this road with my friends, take my time, they can do what they want to do. I'm just going to cruise and enjoy the sights this time. But yeah, 60 miles to the tank. So that means every 60 miles you have to be looking for a gas station. And if you're taking it on a longer road trip, it's going to take you a lot longer to get there. So touring wise, I wouldn't take it unless you're going to buy some saddlebags and then some little gas cans to put in those saddlebags to make it maybe a 6-gallon tank at that point. My wife and I, we recently went down to Crater Lake, and there was a point between Crater Lake and Roseburg where it was a stretch of 60 miles and there was nothing there. So had I been on this bike, I would have been pushing it for probably 15-20 miles, which totally sucks. If I'm paying $13,000 for a bike, I expect it to be able to get me at least 100 miles, at least. So they need to do something about either improving the gas tank size or, I don't know, improving the fuel fucking consumption. I mean, I'm sure it has a lot to do with how you ride, but I've been riding this bike really conservatively, and it goes through the whole fucking tank in 60 miles or less. So, I mean, that's my biggest complaint. It's the reason that I'm not going to keep this bike. If any of you guys out there are looking for a touring bike and you're like, man, those Harley 48s are really cool looking and they're really cheap and I could use that for that trip that my buds want to go on next year. No, you can't. You can't fucking use it. It's not good for that. You're going to have to up the ante a little bit, get something with a bigger tank. Aesthetically, this tank is awesome. It looks beautiful. Good job, Harley. It looks awesome. But performance-wise, if you're going to use this bike for anything other than putting around town, look at a different bike. Don't buy this one. So I'm going to be honest. The only thing I'm worried about on this ride today is, well, number one, running out of gas. I just filled up, so I should be good for a while. But number one thing I'm worried about is scraping my peg and scaring the shit out of myself, and maybe the wrong spot. So I'm gonna take it kind of easy. This is my first time taking this bike on a twisty, so we'll see how it goes. I'll talk to you guys a little bit about handling on this bike. It handles exceptionally well. There's nothing wrong with how this bike handles. It grips, it flicks around like you want it to. It just doesn't have as far of a lean angle because of these because of the forward controls, honestly, and how low it is. And it's pretty forgiving if you do lean a little bit too far. Like I said, these are not set in stone where they are. They have hinges on them. Ah, shit, see? Fucking nicked it. It's flickable, it's easy, it's light, it's maneuverable. The wide tires help out with that a lot. I mean, basically, both of these tires are the same size as Joe Ryder's back tire there. They're big tires. They absorb pretty much any kind of bump or whatever in the road, other than fucking like speed bumps and shit, obviously. I mean, this is the 2016, so it has the bigger forks. I think they doubled them in size because too many people were complaining that their arms were dead after a ride on the bike. So this one has the new forks, and I can say it absorbs everything with fucking grace. Handling, I would give it probably this is gonna be hard, probably an 8 out of 10. It handles, it does what you need it to do. but the scraping scares the shit out of me. So, I mean, I guess if you're expecting it, then good on you. Just know that it does scrape if you're going too fast and you hit a corner at an angle too hard. So I guess that's pretty much going to conclude my my review of the Harley Davidson 48. I would give it probably an 8 out of 10 overall, just because of those couple things that are really fucking point killers. The small gas tank, the range of the bike that it goes, that definitely sucks. And then the lean angle isn't as good as it could be. But again, that's to help with the aesthetics of the bike and basically help it be a Harley. Thanks for checking this video out. If you guys have any questions at all, please ask. I'll be happy to answer anything that you want to know about this bike. I am trying to actively get rid of this bike, so if you're looking for one, you live local, you want to check it out, hit me up on Instagram or in a message here on YouTube. So thanks, guys. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and be sure to stay tuned and check out my videos. Also check these guys out, Salem CBR, Misfit Midget, and Joe Rider. Alright guys, catch you later. Peace.